Okay. So tell us your name.
My name is Josephine Macias
Where were you born?
in San Jose, California,
What year were you born?
1938.
Can you tell us? Um, can you tell us what your very earliest memory is as a little girl?
Sleeping with my grandmother. She used to read me stories. No, she didn't read stories. She made up stories. And she would tell me stories in Spanish. And I must have been 5 years old because she died on my 6th birthday.
What else do you remember?
Oh, I don't know. When I was little,
Yeah.
I remember living in a rented house on Reed Street with my mother, my father, my sister, and my grandmother. My grandmother was my mother's mother. Her name was Dolores. And I guess I must have been close to her. I have real warm thoughts about her, but I don't really remember too much of what she looked like.
What do you know about your mom's childhood?
My mother was born in Mexico. She came to the United States when she was 15. She went to live in Lincoln. And while she was in Lincoln, she met my father. My grandmother, her mother, had a boarding house in Lincoln, and my dad was a boarder. So I guess my mom met him somehow at the boarding house. And they got married in Lincoln and lived in Lincoln. My sister was born in Lincoln. And then my sister and I are 6 years apart, so they, I don't know when they moved to San Jose. I was born in San Jose. And my dad worked at the Gladding Brothers Pottery for many years. And he drove the company truck. He was a machinist. He went to college, night school, to learn to be a machinist. So that's when they hired him at Gladding Brothers. He made good money for those days. He had a steady check. A lot of people didn't have jobs. But we were very comfortable with him working and what he made. I don't remember having any hard times ever. Like I talked to Tony, and well, of course, he comes from a family of 9 or 11 kids. It has to make a difference. With me, it was just my sister and I, and we never had any hard times. My mother was a lot stricter than I was with her kids. I remember one time she was teaching me how to make tortillas. And I made a tortilla. It didn't turn out round. It turned out like New York, the state of New York or something. So I picked it up and I said, "Look, Ma, I made it in New York." I thought she was going to laugh. She got the tortilla masa. She put it in a ball and she threw it at me. And I said, "Well, you don't have any sense of humor." And then if I'd take the bus home from high school. I had to take 2 buses home from high school because it was far. And sometimes my girlfriend Alice and I would decide to walk home. It was a pretty day. We'd stop and we'd get a soda. And when I got home later than I usually do, I got heck. And she would tell me, she'd be ironing, and she'd tell me to go take the clothes down off the clothesline. So as I passed her ironing place where she was ironing to go out to take the clothes down, she'd hit me with the cord of the iron faster than I could get away. I wasn't expecting it.
Where was your dad born?
Where was he born? He was born in Mexico. Oh, gee.
Mochis.
Huh?
Los Mochis.
Los Mochis, Mexico. But what state is that?
Sinaloa.
Yeah, Sinaloa. You're right. And I don't know I don't know what age he came and landed in Lincoln. But my dad was brought up by his father because his mother was put in a hospital at a very young age. In fact, I was about 7 years old when he found out that his mother was put in a mental home in Reno. My dad's brother knew about it, but he never told my dad that his mother was still alive. So my dad got real mad at my uncle. And he got word that my grandmother died. She was in a mental hospital because she was depressed. And in those days, those early days, they didn't know what depression was. They just thought it was mental. And they went to Reno and had her buried over there. And I stayed here. I stayed over in Lala's house while they were gone. I don't know what else.
Didn't your dad live on in railroad cars?
Mm-mm.
No?
No, not that I know
I
of.
thought he lived as a hobo when he got away from his dad.
No, well, he might have at that age before I met my mom. I don't know. But he really never had a mother to bring him up. It was his dad.
Can you tell us about your sister?
My sister was 6 years older than me. We never had anything in common when we were living at home. Too big of a age difference. But after we both got married, we got closer. We had more in common. And her kids and my kids became more like brothers and sisters. And she used to work at Langendorf Bakery for many years. And she liked working there. But she'd always bring home pastries and cupcakes and cookies. And her freezer was always full. And my freezer was half full because she'd always bring stuff to us too. And then...
We used to call her Tia Cookie.
Yeah, he called her Tia Cookie. And then at an early age... What?
Tell us about the bus stop.
What?
Plane had to go see by the bus.
Oh, we used to go over my Aunt Elena's house, but that's my mother's sister, on 8th Street. And my Aunt Elena had a daughter, Helen, who was Cora's age. So they used to hang around together sometimes. And anyway, when we'd go visit my Aunt Elena, her name was Helen, my cousin. Helen and my sister Cora would want to go to the show. And of course, I'd want to tag along. So they'd tell me, okay. So when they left the house, they took me with them. And they walked 2 blocks to the bus stop. And then they told me, when they saw the bus come in, they told me, close your eyes. And I'd close my eyes. I was probably I was real young. And then I'd hear the bus, and then I'd hear the bus, the noise it makes with the door. And when I'd open my eyes, they were gone in the bus. They left me there. And I think, how could they leave a little kid there? And I'd cry and go back over to my Aunt Elena's house and said, the girls left me. And my mother said, yeah, we know they were going to leave you. And I thought that was so cool. I'd cry and cry. And then I fell for that 3 or 4 times. I always thought, oh, this time they're going to take me. And they never did.
How did you meet Dad?
I met Dad in high school, San Jose High. It was in between classes when you change from one class to another. The halls are crowded. And I was going to my next class, and he was at his locker, and he dropped his typing book. I don't know if he was going to typing or coming back from typing. So I picked it up and I gave it to him and he said, "Oh, thank you." I don't remember too much after that. I think I asked him if he was going to the game. We had a big bone game once a year, San Jose High against Lincoln High. And he said he had to work, but he'd go to the game after he got off work. So I met him at the game when he got there. I was already there. And he gave me a ride home. I had gone to the game with the girls next door who also went to San Jose High. And my mother knew I went on the bus, but she thought I was going to come home on the bus. But I came home with Tony, but she never knew about it. She thought I came home on the bus. And that's how we met. Okay, can I take a breather?